cannot believe the ending. Nothing else in this book even matters anymore. Hey, I'm Michelle from Michelle Loves Books. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to the 9th installment of the Shadowhunter Reading vlog. Today we're going to talk about Lord of Shadows, which is the second book in the Dark Artifices series. I've created a playlist with all of the previous videos in this series. The link is in the description box below, as well as a list of all the links if you just want to skip to a specific book. Also, I just want to remind you that this video will have spoilers. So if you have not read this book and you do not wish to be spoiled for it, definitely come back after you have read. I would love to get your thoughts about it. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into it. I actually feel really happy to be here today. We are here for Lord of Shadows. I don't have the dust jacket on. Whoops, let's try to turn it the right way. Lord of Shadows. Oh, by the way, this is actually a really cool dust jacket. I mean, I kind of find it sad that it's on the inside. I know the last vlogs have been quite dismal. I've been doing nothing but ragging on them and hating on them, and I have not been having a good time. But I am happy to announce that so far in this book, I am 12 chapters in, and so far so good. I'm really liking it. I broke the book into thirds so that when I reach a point, I will go ahead and update at that point. The biggest thing that I feel is helping the situation, just from the first book of this little trilogy, is that we're back into the formulaic story structure. That was one of my biggest complaints about the last book. Kind of get a grasp on Cassandra Clare's style of writing because of the way she structures her stories. Like, it's very, like, you have your 3 books and you have like a line, like if I could draw it, it goes like this to the climax, right? The big bad is up here. It takes 3 books to get to the big bad, and then each book has their big bad of the book, but they all tie into the big bad. And then to get there, there's all these mysteries that we have to solve between our own characters, each having their own mystery, and our conflicts. A lot going on, a lot to unpack, and I loved it. And that was my biggest problem with the first book, because I was like, what is this? This is a mess. It doesn't follow that structure. It doesn't seem to follow any structure. And then it was also like parts were rushed through, and then other parts like nothing was happening, or like it just didn't make sense. There was something happening, but I couldn't tell you what it was because it made no freaking sense. So I'm glad we're back. We have recentered into this book, and I'm very happy with that. So we have, despite the debacle of the first book, it seems like we've also answered quite a few questions that I had from that book as well. Well, primarily, and the most confusing to me was Mark and Kieran and the whole wild hunt situation. The whole reason they showed up in Idris during the war because they are drawn to battle and they like to collect things from the fallen, like just knickknacks and stuff like that. And I was like, well, that's actually really interesting. They weren't actually there to really help anybody but themselves. And I was like, okay, why couldn't that have been told to us way back when? The characters, they have got their shit together. I was very frustrated with them in the first book. And I don't mean like the characters themselves. I mean the development of the characters. There's a sense of slowing down in this book so that I can get to freaking know them. There's a rhythm back as well. And we have Emma and Julian and their group with Christina and Diego. No, Diego's not part of the group at this point that I'm at. But Christina and Mark. So they are all in this little group. And then Kit and the twins have like formed their own little group. So they've kind of split off into groups. And then they each have their motives, their missions. I'm loving it. So let's start with Kit. I freaking love Kit. I really liked him from the beginning. I just liked the idea of him also. Even before we knew him, this mysterious lost Herondale, I was like, ooh, I bet we're going to meet him. So I guess it's just a lot of fulfillment there. Maybe because he's a Herondale. Like, we like our Herondales. The only thing I find kind of annoying is that he keeps like trying to run away. And it's like, dude, where are you going to go? He's trying to be a little bit dramatic. He's not as dramatic as Jace, at least yet. But his attempts to just take off with a duffel bag and steal shit is like kind of getting old. Anyway, this last time that I'm at right now, Ty stops him and tackles him to the ground and sits on top of him and is like, look, I need your help. You're going to stay. So he ropes him into his own little detective mystery where he's going to figure out what these Centurions are all about. And we'll get to the Centurions in just a minute. Livy and Ty, which by the way, I've been calling somebody Tavi. The last time I kept talking about a Tavi. There is no Tavi. Is that Ty and Livy together? Are they called Tavi because they're twins? Or did I just make that shit up? Anyways, so we got Ty. He is the one that has autism. And then Livy, his sister, she's cool shit. I like her. I thought they were younger though. Apparently they're what, 14? 15? They're same age as Kit. But this whole like little mini like mission to spy on the Centurions and find out what they're doing, like I freaking love it. I love it. Livy is absolutely adorable. I really like the scene where she asks Kit to kiss her. Just right out, do you want to kiss me? And he's like, why? For no other reason than just taking the opportunity that she hasn't had. Because she's never near boys her own age that aren't her siblings. No Jason Clary kissing here, okay? Thank goodness. What was even cuter about the scene was that she was just like, okay, fine, if you don't want to. And he like grabs her arm and turns her towards him and he goes, maybe I do. I just loved it. I loved it so much. So now we have this little Kit and Livy romance situation. It's so cute. Now Mark and the other group, right now they're off in Fairy because something else I didn't quite understand. All of a sudden Kieran disappeared and I knew that he was like betrayed him, but I didn't know how from the other book. We're going to talk about the other book because it was just such a fucking mess. So Kieran apparently sold, it was his fault. He sold out Julian and Emma to the king, to somebody. I don't know. Even somebody whooped their ass because Kieran's fault, and Mark blames him and says it was betrayal, but he's still like very latched on to Kieran. He had a close relationship to him almost merely just because he was stuck in Fairy and he was the only person who was like nice to him or something, I guess. And they were together for a long time. So I mean, it's not like you can just like, okay, you betrayed me, bye bitch. And like it doesn't work that way, and I kind of like that despite everything that happened. Okay, so Kieran gets in trouble for killing somebody. Mark was just like, fine, whatever, I don't care, he betrayed me. The Centurions, freaking Zara, she's all mouthing off, spouting off about how Fae are garbage and stuff like that, and so he changes his mind and he takes off to Fairy. And then the rest of the group follows him. Now they're like off in Fairy, and this part's a little bit repetitive. However, I think the best part of this whole thing is that it's written really well because you actually get a sense of like what this place is going to be like. It's kind of like a second hell, if you ask me. There's like blood rivers and shit. You can't drink the water. Can't use runes. They don't work there for whatever reason. And if they get caught, they're dead. But they're going to go anyways, like true heroes. So again, it's very reminiscent of the other books where they're stuck in hell, so. But whatever, it's forgivable. But one of the best things is that Christina is apparently very knowledgeable in fairy lore, something that she studied a lot. I think it's kind of lame. She said that she studied it because of Mark, but whatever. Other than that, other than what they're doing, their relationships are messy. Like, I think that we need a diagram. Seriously, there's like a spider web of relationship dynamics. Are you ready? Julian and Emma are in love. They're parabatai, cursed, forbidden romance, but they're bonded. So Emma is fake dating Mark to make Julian hate her. Mark loves Christina. Christina kind of digs him too. Christina's dating Diego. Diego is engaged to Zara. All of the different relationship dynamic tropes going on are fake dating, love triangle, forbidden romance, friends to lovers, cheating. Actually, we haven't had that one in YA for a really long time. The love triangles. We have Emma between Julian and Mark, and then we have Christina between Mark and Diego, and then we have Diego between Zara and Christina. And I don't know about Mark. Mark is like in the very center. There's Mark between Emma and Christina and all their guys. But then Mark also has Kieran, because since they're there now where I'm at rescuing him, Kieran's all like, but I love you. So I'm thinking, and they rescued him, and so I'm thinking they're going to patch shit up. So Mark is like in the middle of all this. Okay, so the Centurions, like, first of all, since when is there like this elitist group? This is new. It kind of makes me wonder if it's like some self-proclaimed group that was born out of the Academy students, because John Cartwright, and I think they name dropped some other names, but I hated that book so much I didn't really latch on to any of the characters. So I kind of have a feeling it's like the new generation of the like downworlder hating group, like Valentine's group. I'm really not surprised to see John Cartwright there. He's a bigoted asshole in the group before. They're just a horrible bunch, especially Zara. Not only is she a bigoted asshole, but she just waltzes into the freaking LA Institute like she owns the place, and she even like shoves Diana out of the way at like breakfast and like dominates everything. And I know there's people that are like that, which I guess is kind of funny. Like I've met people like that. But God, she's infuriating. I hate her. And then she has this whole plot running with Manuel and her dad, where she's gonna like take over the LA Institute, and by way of telling on Arthur to the Clave. So where I'm at right now, Zara has discovered the secret about Arthur. Kit and the twins and Diana take off through a portal to the London Institute. And then for whatever reason, Arthur stays behind. I think Arthur knows that he can't outrun the situation. And so the least he can do is try to at least create a diversion for them so they can get away. I don't know. Or come up with an excuse for them so that they have a chance. By the way, I mentioned Ty is autistic, right? So another thing that I really love about Kit's character and his perspective is that he's just like, these people don't use doctors. Like, they've never heard of autism. They don't treat cancer. This isn't exactly funny, but there's a point in the story where he's like, that's it. If I get cancer, I guess I'll just die. And I don't know why, like, I just think it's funny. He's like very good points about medicine. But I guess it's just so, I think the whole cancer quip is just kind of funny. But the whole deal about Ty and the way the Shadowhunters, why they're afraid the Shadowhunters and the Clave will find out about Ty, is very valid. Like, it's so sad. I love Ty, and I know it's gonna catch up to us in the story where something's gonna happen. They're gonna find out. Something's gonna happen. I just know it, and I'm worried. It's got me all stressed out. But that goes into how the Clave will react when Arthur is seen unfit. They fear that they'll be separated from the kids and Ty. And I guess we don't quite know what they will do with Ty, but they just know that it's not good. Because I think it's obvious, because Ty mentions how loud sounds and crowds really bother him. And obviously, you can't really be an effective Shadowhunter with those kinds of sensitivities, right? So they just want to avoid any interaction, so they're worried. It's all about the power that comes with being the head of an institute, because it gets them closer up to high ranking in the Clave so that their opinions matter. Because what they ultimately want is to create a registry for downworlders. And Kit is funny because he's like, clearly you guys haven't watched the X-Men. That didn't really go over so well. That was awesome. Oh my gosh, you know what else I realized about him? Because he's basically grew up a mundane life, he's very Simon-y. I freaking love it. He's like a cross between Jace and Simon. No wonder I love him so much. My two favorite characters. So really, it's not even about Arthur. It's not about anything. Their ultimate goal is just, like, they're just the obstacle in their way, and they just happen to be a weak link. They're bullies. They're fucking stupid, corrupt, shadow hunting bullies. I don't like them at all. So now to Malcolm. So Malcolm was killed in the first book. I ranted about Malcolm because no development. Apparently he was Julian's best friend, or one of Julian's friends. They trusted him, and then he turned evil and Emma killed him. When it happened, I was like, Malcolm, what? Who? I didn't even know Malcolm was the High Warlock. I think they was mentioned. There was no development there for me. I didn't connect to him, so it was very surprising. Everything I've learned about Malcolm in this book so far, it's really answered quite a few questions there as well. He's like a warlock version of Sebastian. Malcolm is now the undead. He got a hold of some book or something. He's been working on all this dark black magic, and he's been working with necromancy. So I guess he made himself undead somehow. Part of himself is commanding these sea demons to kill people. And they are having a standoff right now outside the LA Institute, and they're demanding that they turn over a Blackthorn because I guess Malcolm is the one trying to raise the Blackthorn. I don't know what's going on. We'll figure it out. He killed John. John is dead. There's quite gory description of his decapitated head. I was actually kind of surprised about that. But I kind of thought it was dumb because he just snatches up John like nothing. And then he's like, you guys need to hand over the Blackthorn. Why didn't he just go snatch him up a Blackthorn too then, just like he did John? But I guess, where are we without the drama? Just saying. He wants them to sacrifice a Blackthorn. I guess it's more effective if he gets his own people to turn on him. Plus, we point out the fact that being a Blackthorn, the Clave doesn't care about him that much because they're mixed with fairies. They just kind of tolerate them. Yeah, if they're going to save a bunch of Shadowhunters, the Clave would probably give up a Blackthorn in order to do so. At least they think so. I mean, I think it's kind of crazy because it's like Malcolm's obviously going to have worse things in the works. It's going to cause him more problems. We know this. Anyways, I'm going to end this update right here. So far, very cool. I'm very excited and I'm very relieved that I'm loving this book. Yep, that's it. And I will catch up with you later. Okay, that's just going to have to do. I feel like I need to test it. Testing? Hello? Okay. All right. The second part of Lord of Shadows. Now, I'm not even sure how exactly to summarize. That sounded dumb. Hold on. I'm not really sure how to summarize this next portion of the book. It just feels really dense and there's just like all of these little things happening. And I took lots of chapter summary notes, notated any pages of interest that like maybe they were foreshadowing or there was a quote that I really liked. So there's a lot of things happening that was really fun and notable. So far I love the characters. Kit and the twins are my favorite. I kept thinking I was getting their names mixed up because I don't think that they were exactly very clear when they introduced them because there's a lot of characters, okay? And then there's like Drew, and then all of a sudden there's like Drew's never even in a lot of the book. And then I literally thought there was a Tavi. Wait, there is a Tavi. Tavi's the baby, right? And Livy. Okay. So Ty and Livy are the twins, and Ty, Livy, and Kit like bonded, and I love that part. I love them. I love the three of them together and the little trio doing the whole mystery thing. I just can't help but super focus on their story, and the growth that Kit goes through is really cool. Now, the drama unfolding between Mark, Christina, and Kieran mess is something else for sure. I can't say I like it per se, but there's almost this like threesome going on. I'm pretty sure the scene with the library and the dancing, Kieran swept up Christina to make Mark jealous, since Mark had just got done telling Kieran how he sees their relationship, the relationship between Mark and Kieran. I thought that was really great how honest he was with Kieran and how introspective he was on how the relationship even started. Because it was based on a toxic situation when they were both taken and basically made to serve the hunt. So he was basically saying that their choices to be together may have been influenced from that, and if they had been free and had other options available, that maybe they still wouldn't have chosen each other. And Mark, I think there's just a lot of hurt there and a lot of baggage, I think, with Kieran, because Mark is still hurt, even though Kieran doesn't remember it. It's kind of one of those weird, funky things. So while the story has really come together for me, I'm really enjoying this book. It still feels a bit overwritten to me, and oftentimes I feel pretty bogged down. I just feel like there's so many characters. There's not actually a lot of action scenes. It's mostly just, like I said, a lot of little things. So it makes it kind of hard to pick and choose like kind of what to talk about, because we could be here all day digging apart each relationship dynamic. And I assume if you're watching this, you know exactly what I'm talking about already. I mean, you should have read them. So the plot line is slowly creeping along and building. Annabelle's really interesting, and we have these new creatures called Piskies that we have been introduced to, who apparently Malcolm trusted to tell things to. Honestly, it kind of felt like a far-fetched plot device because they needed a way for our main characters to get some sort of information to move the plot along. I just feel like evil guys don't go around telling their business to things because they know that most anybody's loyalty can be bought. So that whole scene where, well, it's more like a scene, more like a few chapters, that whole period of time, I would say, Julian and Emma go to Malcolm's house. Oh, that was a long time. I think it was mostly just a way to like throw our couple together and have the tension and the angst build up. But the cool thing about that whole thing that took forever and ever, we were stuck there for a long time. I think it's just because like I knew that it was just a way to throw them together, that I was just kind of initially just kind of like, here we go. But the cool thing that happened there was that they found Malcolm's journals, which kind of adds a new layer. We can tell that like when we met him, it's kind of at the end where he's losing it, but back when he was younger, writing these journals, he was just a man in love, or a warlock in love, which is kind of sweet and adds a new layer. Then they find this crystal that showed them a piece of history and how Annabelle was looked down on and tortured for her relationship with Malcolm. But then Shadowhunters used Malcolm as an ally. That was all kind of weird, I thought. As I tend to focus mostly on Kit, Ty, and Livy, suddenly Drew might have a really big secret. I think what I really loved at the moment when Kit just decided that the jig is up, he's adopting the Blackthorns as his family. He loves Ty, and Ty loves him, and I'm sensing a future parabatai bond. I'm totally down for that. Maybe with Kit being his parabatai, it won't matter to hide Ty's autistic tendencies anymore, because whatever's going on with him, he would still be tied to Kit. So maybe that's the future of Ty. I hope so. There we go. Okay. The last and final Lord of Shadows update. This book has taken me so long to read. I feel like I keep saying that with all these books. Basically, I don't even know about anything in this book anymore since they killed Livy. How could she die? It was like this whole book led up to that moment and I forgot everything. It was like all of this just to kill Livy. I don't even care about anything in this book anymore. I don't care about anything in the next book anymore. I just cannot believe that they killed Livy. I know there's like those things that go around where they're like worst character deaths, and I don't think I read a lot of books where they actually kill off our favorite characters, except there's a character in Vampire Academy. I was like, that was pretty, that hurt. That like hurt me. This is probably one of like the most devastating deaths, I think. I can't believe it. I guess I do have to note a few things, but literally it took me a couple days to get over it enough to think about the rest of this book. Like, I'm glad that I took chapter notes because literally that happened and I forgot everything. It was like all of this came down to that. And that's it. That's this book. So I'm glad that I could go back and read through some of my notes. I think I'm still leaving a lot out here, but I really am liking this book, but it's not wowing me. It just feels exceedingly long, and we'll get to that in just a minute. I know I'm like leaving out a lot of things that I thought were good at the time, but I just feel like retrospectively they weren't super impactful. Like if I can't pull it from my memory just thinking back at reading the book, then it wasn't very impactful. Like I just finished it and I can't like total recall it. We're just gonna go through some of the big things. Actually, I already know one thing I forgot in my ending thoughts is I didn't mention Mark, Karen, Christina. Oh, and the other kid, Diego. I just feel like for a minute there it got really interesting and I was like, oh, we got like some love triangles, some love squares. It's all over the place. We got the whole geometric textbook going on here with so-and-so likes this person, so-and-so likes this person's making this person jealous, and these people are going to hook up. It was like it got too confusing. We just kind of came full circle because now Christina has kind of made amends with Diego, and I'm just like, okay, fine, whatever. So not like much to say there, except it was really interesting, and now it's not anymore. Julian and Emma, like, meh, marathoning the angst there. I can at least sort of see why they rushed into having sex in the first book, but it still should have been written better. Yeah, but they rushed into it in the first book so that we could spend the rest of the 3 books while they go through pining for each other, tragic love story, they can't actually be together, their love is cursed, and it's going to wreak havoc on them, make them crazy. So gonna have to let that whole thing build and build and build until it explodes or something happens. Keep us worried about what could happen next. I wasn't that worried. It was like Jason Clary all over again, just not cringe. Thank goodness they're not related. I can't take much more of that. Moving on, Diana. Her big secret. I started to wonder there for a minute, just kind of, I forget, some of the foreshadowing to Diana kind of made me wonder if that's what we're going to allude to. Also knowing Cassandra Clare, and she likes to represent everybody in her books, and that was the only area we haven't touched base on yet in her books, because I guess it's only recently, I don't know. So she had to make a transgender character. Now I thought it was done very well, and I thought that it was well thought out, and we got to spend the time getting to know her and building up to the reveal of her secret. And now we get to know her as a person that's been living with this her whole life. And now that her secret is out, if the Clay finds out, what's going to happen to her? So we can kind of have that conversation. And since she is getting cozy with Gwen, how it's going to affect that relationship. That was cool. I really like that. Annabelle. I was so excited about her story. And, oh, I didn't realize. Okay, so Lord of Shadows is another name for Kieran's dad. The Unseelie King is also the Lord of Shadows. Queen of Air and Darkness is Annabelle, because at this time I needed a few days to kind of wrap my head around this book so I could wrap up this video. So I already started Queen of Air and Darkness, so I already know that Annabelle is also Queen of Air and Darkness. She was cool until she was not. I went from really liking her and sympathizing with, and I get that that's the point. I went from liking her and sympathizing with her and like wanting to see the future there with her, like kind of getting reintroduced to society sort of, and now I hate her and want to kill her. She makes no sense to me, but they did say she's crazy, so I don't think she's ever supposed to make sense, but honestly, I almost feel like I don't understand her actions. She's so... Also, I did get super emotional with the letter that Ty left for her to get her to come and talk to them. That was really sweet. I really like seeing Julian through their eyes, because we just get an overabundance of how he is in his romantic relationship. And so I really like seeing him as a brother, that layer of his character. So moving on to Kit. Kit, I love Kit. But I totally thought that Ty was going to be his parabatai, at least maybe in the future. Maybe by the end of the last book, they would like agree to be parabatai. And then I thought he was going to have romantic interest in Livy. Livy completely friend-zoned him, which was kind of disappointing because how cute would that be? But I do kind of also like, they're just like, no, there's really nothing there. And his sister, I think his sister can see how he feels about Ty. Because I think that Kit is going to realize that he's gay. I just know it. Just some of the things that they keep saying and alluding to and foreshadowing to, and how he's starting to see Ty in this even more endearing light. And that's it. I don't really know what else to say about this book. Another book that was just way too long, overly written, there's less action, a ton of characters just talking, and everything that they do has to be on the page. Every moment has to be described. I understand like certain characters like shifting their weight and stuff like that to kind of set the scene, set the mood, but I feel like she does that with every scene, and it doesn't really need to be in there. If anything, it detracts from what's kind of more going on in this scene, because I'm wondering, why is it significant for this conversation to show a character's physical reactions? And then I just feel like it's just so much that I kind of lost the point. Anyways, it was good though. I did like the story overall. I just think that it could have been probably half the size. That's all. So I will be back very shortly with an update for Queen of Air and Darkness. I actually, at this moment, I'm already about halfway through the audiobook. I'm feeling meh about it too, halfway through. So I just feel like, again, Same situation, just a lot is overwritten, except the beginning. I have to go pick up my kids right now. I'm going to finalize my thoughts on it, and I will come back with a real update. All right, bye.